And it shows it's working. See what happens. Okay. Never sure on this situation. Good evening. I'm gonna be on here for a little bit. Just trying to figure out whether I'm actually streaming in both horizontal and vertical. Never sure of things like that. I have to take this down to spin the roughing out instead. Does help when the tool rest doesn't move though. You get a little more speed out of it. There we go. Remember some of the out of balance. Does help when you keep the tailstock a little tighter. I don't think we're quite there. Just about. Just about. Just a little bit down here in this end Here's a nice, safe, low peeling cut. And that pretty quick and easy way of taking something to the round. All right, knock my camera over. Put a tenon on both ends. This is going to be, I need to do a livid box. That end down there has a knot. And something ticking. It does. Outside edge. Fine, we're going to be much lower than that. That should take care of that. So that end, I don't want the end with a knot. For the lid box, this is only going to be small. You want it nice and shallow. I think we're going to give ourselves some room to move though. We'll do about 3 inches. That probably should be just about right in the middle of that. So we use the thin parting tool. Or get too far, we will need another tenon here. So eyeball it and guess a little bit on that end. Don't go crazy. I don't want to part it off. I don't need to send it flying. It's still pretty thick. I'm having trouble actually seeing where it was at in there, so always go on the side of caution. It takes a second or two to put it away. There we go. There's our box blank, another blank for another day. Oops. I actually went the lid first. Looks like my eyeball and maneuver was not as good as what you think. Doesn't matter, that'll all go away. Better to be on the long side or the bigger side and the smaller side. So we need about. I'm gonna go with about an inch or so. That might be a little much, but you can always take more off. Not a big deal. Might be a better deal if I have it the whole way around, or at least somewhat around. After a small tool. Widen it out a bit. A small parting tool doesn't like that kind of overhang, but we got it off anyhow. Clean up the face. Just use our spindle gouge to do it. I don't even need to go the whole way in, for sure. But we might as well while we're here. Touch that corner because it's like a razor blade. Now, if only I had the right scraper in the handle, it'd be better. It feels like there's a burr on it, so let's give it a whirl, see whether it's sharp enough to do the work. Should be. Bring the tool rest up a bit. It's got to be heading downhill into that center. We're going to have to raise the tool rest up again. I got to cut this outside edge where I want it. In order to do that, it's got to be well above center or the bottom of the bar will hit. Be a bit thinner than that. Now, just stop and see whether I'm remotely straight. That's pretty good. Easy. Now we finish out this bottom section. Clean up that, make sure it's a little undercut. This is just a shade on the low side. Go right into that corner. The wonders of using the traditional scrapers is that becomes very, very cleanly cut in there. You really almost can't sand it any smoother than that. The only thing we could do is get rid of a little sharp point there. It's also not very deep. I should deepen that. Yeah, we should go a whole lot deeper than that. Now I can't actually get into that corner the way it is with that scraper, so we'll just use our skew. Our skew will let us go in that corner. Right down to the bottom. Being a little aggressive there or something. That's unusual. Yeah, I'll clean that up a bit. Looks a bit better. A little area here that should work. Might raise it up and make one more clean cut down along that edge. It's not a place I don't want to stay. I don't want to sand at. I want it to be cut clean enough not to sand it. Right into that corner, best we can get it. That's nice and clean. I say it's going to be a very sort of basic kind of a box. Still have a little bit of picked up cream in that sucker. Let's see if the skew will get that out. As a scraper. I think the problem is my traditional scraper right there is actually getting dull. So I'll just clean up the rest of it. Just a skew. It is end grain, so it will cut it clean. Just have to try and get it cut in a fairly straight line. Anything over here, right? Bear with me one short second. See, I gotta work more on that. Don't think it's streaming in horizontal or vertical. Okay, so that's our lid. Let's say this will be sort of a basic box because this lady wants to paint this. Guess I could maybe. Wow, it's there. I think I told her I would actually finish the inside of this. Oh, you don't know, Todd. Can you answer a question for me? Is this thing being done in vertical and horizontal tonight? I thought I had it figured out, but I don't think I do. Probably only in horizontal. That's what I figured. Back to the drawing board. Mm, I'll have to try and give it a little texture in there. Huh. Hey, that's more views than I've ever gotten. The vertical the vertical live stream last week was at like I did. I got about 10 subs out of it, and it was like 2,800 views from last week. So definitely tomorrow night we'll be doing. We'll just go back and do strictly horizontal, I guess. And give her a little texture, a little spiral in the middle. And give me one time like the present. We'll give this a finish on the inside, quickly and easy like. Yeah, well, I mean, I guess if that's what it's going to take to get there, that's what we'll do. But that's kind of strange. I was talking with my son-in-law the other day, and I said, "Did you see the numbers on that?" He said, "You had a bunch." He said, "Oh, I was on there at one point." He said, "You had over 100 people watching." I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "I don't know, not really sure what I did right, I guess you'd say, but did something right." I've heard of that name, yes. Don't know. So there's the inside of our piece. Wait, what? There we go. Little spiral finished up. We'll do the base. Test the glove off. And in some ways, the horizontals, I don't know. In some ways, it's a little bit easier. I only have to, generally speaking, I'm only going to use one camera to do it that way, but at least that's the thought process anyhow. I thought of that too, but the week's kind of got away from me this week, so I thought of that as because a lot of times I come down here and work in the afternoon or whatever. I figured that's probably a really good time to actually be doing something live. Catch all them people that are supposed to be working and all that good stuff. So instead of working, they're playing around, looking at YouTube shorts or what have you. Right. Oh yeah. I mean, those people that are watching the shorts are watching shorts because of the fact that they don't necessarily want to watch anything for any length of time, or they don't have time to watch anything. One or the other. I'll set my calipers to this. Set it fat. Oh, well, yeah. I mean, all the people that were watching last week, the only people that commented were the people that, normally show up. There really wasn't any, I should say, random kind of people, something like that. So we'll give it chamfer on that end. Mm. Well, when you do it later like that, if you went back and looked at the analytics, you'll probably find that a whole lot of them people are across the pond, where it's no longer the same time frame it is would be for us. Not what I was totally looking for was a perfect fit right off the bat. That would be the final fit, not the initial fit. I was planning on that. Okay. Solve that problem. Easy enough. Oh, okay. Well, that's the people you're looking for. It's really the only, an unfortunate thing in this wood turning world is, for the most part, the only people that are really overly interested in it is the older generation. They quite a few of the people that come and take my classes, because that's sort of what one of the questions I ask them is, why, really why they're there. But and a lot of that is the older people that, hey, I just kind of retired, did this, in high school, and they're my age. And I'm like, right there with you. Do it in high school too, but a little bit of paper towel, single ply. Huh. Single ply might not work good on that one. Probably a double is going to be too much. Maybe not. There we go. This is a, this is what you call a simple way of getting that to fit. Getting ahead of myself. It's been a while since I did a little box. So 2-ply will work. Okay. I need to hollow it out. That would make sense. Many ways of hollowing them out. Let's see if I can look really dumb here on this one. Spindle gouge. And drop my speed back a little bit. As if we come in, now we need to be in center height though. Come into center, get into the center point. Come on. It will drill a hole. Yeah. Well, that'll drill a hole for us easy enough. See where we're at. Still working on that thing of trying to do the back hollowing. I don't always get that right, that part right. Not quite deep enough. And you can have some very exciting tactics doing that. We'll just open it up a bit. Oh yeah, you bet. When you get the feel for it, it seems to go alright. But I don't use it enough. That's with half of that kind of stuff. If you don't use it or you don't take the time to learn it, it's just like all the people that just flat out refuse to use a skew. Gotta watch this camera's right where I have that camera sitting. That's kind of like right where my head wants to be half the time. So I'm gonna go sharpen this quick. This scraper does need to have a nice burr on it. There's guys that do the back hollowing. It's an interesting process to watch. Actually, Richard Raffin has some really quite nice videos out there. I've watched them umpteen times. I've gotten better at it, but better is not always good. So we're going to come up nice and high. And we just hollow it out with the hollowing out with a scraper is just as easy as anything else. See whether we're deep enough yet. I don't want to make this too deep. I'm sort of planning on taking that tenant off. Maybe I'll get down another quarter. So I must be being extra aggressive or something with it. This is some dry cherry. It should scrape quite well down there in the bottom, but that's probably me being a little rambunctious. It's probably a little thick on the wall yet. Yeah, must be what it is. Being a little too aggressive. Um, that's 100 and 180. And I was lazy when I went over there. Normally, if I was to go back over and sharpen that again, I would actually take my little sort of a diamond file and I would erase that burr that's on the top, and then I can see when I get a nice new burr on there. It's not a real big heavy burr. It's also ground at 60 degrees. Um, there again, some of those, the Richard and a Thomas lock, they grinders even a longer grind on it yet. And I'm like, no, 60 is good enough because I can still make a mistake from time to time, not paying attention, and would would get it more horizontal than what it wants to be. And you got to remember when it grabs, and you probably know this, when you do something wrong, get it horizontal or slightly tipped up in the front. When it grabs, it doesn't release till it gets to this bottom back here. So even at that, that's probably a good solid quarter of an inch before it will release. So if you want to have the almighty catch, that is where you will have it. Actually, right in this area right there because you can't see what you're doing. It does force you to do something I try and teach some of the people that I teach is to look somewhere else than where the cutter's at. In this case, the only place I can see what I'm cutting is I'm looking over here at the 3 or 4 o'clock area. You just kind of have to have faith that you're doing what you're supposed to do with the tool. It's been a while since I've had any good catches with this paper, but it's not overly uncommon to do it. I'm going to go back down, especially when I have this lovely camera now sticking there. As you can probably tell, I'm hitting it, I'm sure. Oh, it's too low. Or I'm too low. One of the two. A little bit more. What I found on the traditional scrapers, it is kind of a fine line as far as the how much it wants to head downhill. If it's too much downhill, it doesn't quite cut the same. Seems to be a little goofy, but it's like I said, it seems to be a pretty fine line. And you watch them guys, and it's like they talk about it, but it's like half the time. I mean, you can't really tell, but it's like that thing doesn't look like it's headed downhill. And actually, Richard will even talk about that. And when you get away from the end grain, it actually can come back up flat to do like a radius or something in there. In this case, I'm not even going to put a radius in the bottom of this. I do have a nice little yucky spot in the bottom. Hmm. For whatever reason, it doesn't seem like it raised a very nice burr. So let's just go back. This time we'll take the old one off. So you don't try and figure what I'm talking about. Literally this is a diamond file, and that's why these are so shiny on the top, because I get rid of all the old burr first. Doesn't take much. Run your finger over it. Nothing left. That was a nice burr. Nice even burr, I should say. Put it that way. Can't say that my curvature on mine is not necessarily, it's not straight. That's the important part. Back to there. And it is a very, very light touch. The lighter the touch, the better. Even though at some point you can actually get fairly aggressive with it. So I'm not getting quite the cut that I want down there in the bottom area. So I'm going below center. That's also where I got that little vibration mark too. So if I dig that corner and come across, I got too much of a cut. Now we're good. The only thing we have to now clean up is that very bottom corner. The amazing part is how cleanly they will cut going down along that edge, along the side grain as well. Although I can't say that that one's really perfect or quite what I want. Can also cheat on that one. Oh my God! Well, that's serious stuff there. You gotta have the ice cream. I probably need to go to the grocery store too. I think I'm out of iced tea. But yes, the ice cream is priority. So go get your ice cream. I will be back tomorrow night, hopefully on time, and we'll do it strictly horizontal or vertical. Put it that way. So here's my cheater one. Instead of it being a curve from corner to corner, this one it starts over here, sort of almost like a backward skew or a skew facing that way. It's also ground off on the side. You too. That will work. This thing. Curve that edge back. Oh, no sharp corners. I'll just go right through the grits. By the looks of it, looks like I shouldn't even touch that bottom. It looks like I put big scratch marks in the bottom. Now, whoops. That knocked the camera out of the whack. It's not cut clean in the bottom. Missed that. Now if there's sawdust, didn't even see it. Can't have that. I think I'll just try the trusty negative rake scraper, aka this skew. Clean this up. Couldn't see that disturbed grain until you actually started sanding it. Still a little bit left. Now we're there. I think. Now, back to our trusty smash on fit so that we can get both of these pieces together. And bring up the live center without the point in it. This will give me the opportunity to finish the lid too. Just a slight bit of pressure. So if I cut going across, it'll try and pull that lid off. Well, I shouldn't say try, it will pull it off. Because it's not quite as tight as one would maybe like. And it could actually have been a little smaller than it is. Don't mind me, I'm just having a brain fade. That's kind of a soft spot right there that I don't necessarily want in the piece. I went with the thought of a bigger tenant. So, just put the center point back in. Start it up. The center point will find dead center for you. Now we know where dead center is at. So we can back that off. And sort of, oh, that might actually be even easier yet. I just reverse it and grab it from that direction. I still have a center point over here, which we know is a given. That shit's been true enough. I'm bound and determined to knock a camera off tonight. So we'll just go down, hopefully to the next size smaller. Chuck. That should work. Nothing like the present to actually measure it. Down to try it. Like I say, it's been a while since I've done lidded boxes like that. This is actually a little bit bigger. Hopefully it's not too big for what the lady wants. She wants a paint on the top of this anyhow, so got to give her something to paint. So the question is, do we get sharp draws? No. Unless we have to. These would actually be the standard jaws for the VM120. That'll work. Could even been smaller yet. Gonna give me some room. Now we can shape this a little bit. I'll give it a little bit of a curve down towards the bottom. At least that's my plan. Put it that way. Once again, just the point of the life center, just so it can't walk off. We'll have to remove that, of course, but not that big of a deal. We sort of have lots of material to work with. Basically, we end up retruing the thing up again. It won't be much. So just give it just a hint, sort of. Or maybe it could be a bigger hint. I get just enough pressure on the tailstock, the squeakies. So, now we're not trying to hide the joint. We'll just do a little V cut in the paper towel. Here's where it's really trying to push it off. Just sort of leave it at that. Yeah, I think that'll be livable. Stop and look and see whether I actually got it in where I thought I did. Just the little chippies on that side, so we'll just widen it out a little bit. Which will take care of those little chips. Should be. Anyhow. Okay. Nothing fancy. Very simple and basic. Simple is always good on the lid of box as far as I'm concerned. So that should do that. Now we'll get to find out whether it's going to cooperate. First things first though. Did that V cut up there, left some chip out. Can't have that. So just use a smaller gouge. I'm going to go back over that one more time. And off the end. This time, rather than playing around with the spindle gouge, we'll just do it with the skew. This is spindle oriented, so you can easily do that. Give me a much cleaner cut, cleaner surface on that. It's going to be the prettiest boxes. Stuff wants to be awful chippy tonight for some reason. It's kind of strange. But that was some of this chair that I got. And this stuff is actually pretty old. Seem to want to be that way. I switched over to 3/8" spindle gouge as well. Mainly because I'm sure this one, I didn't take the time to sharpen the other one before I started. So I know this one is probably much sharper than that one is. Try and get as much of that out of there as I possibly can. Get rid of our little trusty little razor blade here. Actually, I'll probably just up and stand in there as far as what I can, because I know very good and well. This is probably, I might actually have to put a piece of tape on it to keep it on there. It's not really tight enough just to be total friction drive. So that's clean cut end grain. We should actually be able to start sanding this part down here with just 320. The rest of it's going to be a lot more, a lot less, lower grits, lower speed. At this point, we might as well actually sand the entire thing while we're at it. No time like the present to get the outside done. See if we got rid of these little chips. Most of them, not all yet though. Now we can sort of breeze through the grits. That was 180 where we started. Go 220. Once again, this outside doesn't have to be sanded super smooth, as she is planning on, as far as I know, painting this on the outside. That's what she told me anyhow. So in all reality, I could probably just quit at 320 and be done. We'll hit it with a little 400, yeah. Just to make her life more difficult. Not really, but one or two little chip marks still there, but you say she's going to do something with it. Now I'll be on tomorrow night too. Don't get excited, Al. I'll be there tomorrow night too. I was just working on trying to get this dual stream thing to work, and I still don't have it working the way it's supposed to. So I will be back tomorrow night. So we'll put a little tape on that just by virtue of, and all I got to do is remove this little knob down here on the bottom. A little tape will stop it, hopefully, stop it from wandering off that little center point. At least that's our plan and our hope. Extra gentle. Little baby bites. The idea is get rid of that center point. It's just a little lidded box. The lady in my wife's painting class the other day, of course, my wife's always showing them different things. And one of her other project was actually something that I turned a piece and they painted it. So right away the lady's like, "You make them little lidded boxes?" I'm like, "Yeah," but I said, "Don't make many of them because I said they don't really sell. It's gonna have a little center dot in it." And she told me what she wanted. And she's like, "Well, I'll pay you for it." I'm like, "Yeah, I know you will, but." Uh, so we'll keep the little old lady happy because she's taking all my wife's classes with her. Their tape off. The lid comes off, a little paper towel in there so the lid fits snugly. So I could make it's actually a loose fit. I've learned that over the years. Don't make them tight. And watch some of these professionals, so-called professional people making the. Cindy Droz is one of them. Make them lidded boxes, and they're so cotton picking. They want it to be impressive or whatever. I'm like, nah, I don't do that no more. Been there, done that, and you get the changes in the season or whatever. Next thing you know, the dumb thing doesn't fit, and I'm like, then you look stupid. So, yeah, they're gonna be loose. I want somebody to use it. I don't want it to sit on a shelf and look decorative and pretty. So I make them relatively loose. And the ones you think that are relatively loose, or more than loose enough, is the ones that you go to them. You take them into wherever, sit around for a while. Next thing you pick them up, and it's like that thing was totally loose, and then all of a sudden it's totally tight. I don't know if you've ever tried that routine of trying to loosen one back up. It's a real pain in the you know what. So I'd just as soon go with the routine of less is better. I've been down here for an hour and 40 minutes because I got to go switch the laundry around. So we're just about done anyhow. I did not. Maybe I'll just leave that matte instead. Lid's matte. Yeah. A little activation. A lot of activation, a lot more than what I normally would use. Give that a brief couple of seconds. Spin up. And we'll just polish the inside well in here. Did not do that on the lid, but it's what you call daylight and a dollar short on the inside of the lid, so I really don't have any way of holding it now. A little bit of abrasive paste. This is a super fine. Smear it around by hand. And we'll work it good. Really not necessarily a great idea to actually have that glove on. I don't want to get my fingers messy right at the moment. These little nerdle gloves are stronger than what you'd ever give them credit for. I was doing that, had one on, I was doing a finial, and it literally grabbed a hold of the end of it and peeled the glove off my hand. I mean, it was spinning slowly. That was my only kind of saving grace, I guess you'd call it. Otherwise, we could have been in trouble. That's all polished up nice and smooth, which is the important part for the inside of the box, as far as I'm concerned. Never liked doing boxes in the past. You know, what kind of finish you're going to put on the inside of a box. So you put any of the typical oils or lacquers or anything like that in there, the smell like never wants to go away. Last check, plenty loose. Now, sort of the pain in the bazooka part. Need something to jam that over. That might be a challenge. Not big enough. You know what piece would be big enough though? Is that one? Be lazy. Why not? I never like to open the jaws way up. As soon as you open them way up, these corners are above the jaw. Something quick to get a hold of your hand. And they would be a nice meaty grinder there quickly. So we'll just change over back over to the other half of this blank. Because it's more than big enough or small enough. Just put a little tenon. What I'm after is to get inside of there. So I can just sort of something to center it, and then I can do the rest from the other end. I guess I can probably get a pretty good idea where we need to go. I'll just face this off a little bit. Close. Nope. A nice chamfer. I never claimed to be very good at this routine either. Dang. This time I gotta go up over it. It does, so somewhere up in that area. I don't want it to be super snug that it scratches it. I'd almost rather use a bit of paper towel in there. Still not there. More. More. Screw around and drop this down and break it or something. Okay, so just flatten that back side out a little bit. Hopefully that's enough. I don't want to force it on there. Or at least not force it on too hard anyhow. It's fairly thick though. That's ever so tempting. You just give it a little trusty little smackaroonie, but there, now we're going there. It's still going to get a little, just a shade. And that's what I figured. We get to the point where it's there. So there we go. It's really, in all reality, that's really where I would rather it be. I can always put a piece. Probably won't be loose enough. Will be. Yep. Full piece of paper towel in there. That way it doesn't scratch the inside. Once again, I'll bring the live center up to get rid of that. There's no, I mean, granted, that looks neat to be able to do that and get it to where it's, don't need to stock support or anything like that, but at the end of the day, play around with it long enough and end up in the same place. So I have a tendency to be a little more proactive on that. Enough tailstock support to make it give it support. Spin the gouge all the way. razor blade edge. I guess if I was smarter than the average bear, then we still can do that. And just put the cone center on, so I will be able to go underneath it. The less I have to do after the fact, the better off it's going to be. Make sure we're undercut. Yep, plenty of undercut. Just a bit of pressure. Make sure I'm not falling off. Tail. A little touch of sandpaper would be a great idea at this time. It's a little 320 and 400. It's cut clean enough. If there's little ripples in there, it is the bottom. Although the bottom should actually technically be finished just as well as the top. We'll have to line up or something. Like I need to make another cut because that's not clean. Yeah, over there. While we're at it, we can give it a little decoration, a couple of lines. Why somebody thinks you cared, I guess. A little sand should take care of all the ripples. You might be able to do the same thing what I did earlier. I might just be able to put a little bit of tape on there. I'm not sure it's probably not quite tight enough. We'll see. I'll break it free and hope for the best. If I didn't see him with 400. Make sure this bottom edge is nice and curled over. I want it to be sharp. Here's where we get to figure out, see whether your fingers are getting incinerated a bit. Yeah, don't go back that far. That last little bit, it doesn't want to break either. I'm gonna get the tailstock out of the road. Do this little bit. It'll just inevitably roll away from me. Hopefully not bang it up too bad. Yeah, too big of a knob. I like to cooperate. I'll just snap the last little bit off, which is not necessarily the way to do that, because it sort of pulled a little hole out. And that takes care of that. Now, stand that last little bit in there, same way. All the forces are going into the headstock now, so it really won't want to come off on this standing bit. Of course, it'll probably make a liar out of me and do it anyhow. So it looks like it left a little tiny spot in there that's sort of removed. But this lady's going to paint these, so I'm not worried about that. They pop their craft paint all over it, and you never know what you didn't do and what you did or didn't do. There's a simple little lid box. Nice loose fit lid. A little looser than what it maybe could have been, should have been, but it'll work. Left a line there, so that's it. No texture on the top or on the bottom of the inside bottom of the lid. Little box starts out. It's probably like 3 by 2, actually 3.5, 2.25 high. That's kind of a simple little project, and that's going to be it for us tonight. I just knew I needed to get it done, so I don't forget it. And we're practicing working more on this thing of the streaming in both horizontal and vertical, which did not work. Not a surprise. But at any rate, tomorrow night's project, we're going to do a hybrid project tomorrow night. Piece of wood and resin. This is pretty sure this is epoxy. We'll find out tomorrow night when we start cutting into it. So which it truly is. It had lots of. I think this was sort of actually even sort of a burly piece of cherry. I think that's what it is. I don't know. We'll see tomorrow night. That's the plan for tomorrow evening. Something weird, but it will be here on normal time tomorrow night. 6 o'clock tomorrow night. We'll be here. Until then, you all have a good rest of your evening and stay safe.